Okay, anyone who's looked into fertility treatments, especially IVF, knows it can be, well, a really challenging journey, right? You're looking for anything that might give you an edge, something to improve the chances and maybe lower the risks. So it makes you wonder, what else is out there? Are there complementary things that could actually help? Today, we're going to dive into one of those, acupuncture. Specifically, how it might boost IVF success and cut down certain risks when it's done right around the embryo transfer.
Yeah, and our goal here for you listening is really to pull out the key takeaways from the sources we looked at.
Yeah.
We want to give you a clear understanding of, the potential upsides, the science behind it, without you having to wade through all the dense material yourself.
Right, because blending something like ancient Chinese medicine with modern IVF, how does that even work? And the sources bring up this key person, Mike Berkeley. He founded the Berkeley Center for Reproductive Wellness in New York, but the really striking thing, he was apparently the very first acupuncturist in the U.S. to focus specifically on fertility issues. That's pretty groundbreaking.
It really is, and the sources dive right into how acupuncture seems to help prepare the body. One of the main points is creating a better environment for the embryo to implant. So the acupuncture that's done before the transfer, it's all about boosting blood flow right to the uterus.
Okay, so more blood flow. Is it just about volume, or is there something more specific happening there, like optimizing the uterine climate?
Exactly that. It's not just more blood is good. The sources really stress why this is vital. Better blood flow helps build a thicker, more receptive uterine lining the endometrium. Think of it like preparing really good soil before you plant a seed. You need that rich lining for the embryo to attach properly and, start growing. Without that, the chances of implantation really drop.
That receptive environment idea makes a lot of sense, preparing the soil, I like that. But the sources also talk about tackling a specific, pretty scary risk in IVF. The numbers really jumped out at me. Can you walk us through that, the whole ectopic pregnancy thing?
Absolutely. An ectopic pregnancy, for anyone maybe less familiar, is when the embryo implants somewhere. It should usually a fallopian tube instead of the uterus. It's always a serious concern. But the data we reviewed shows the risk goes up quite a bit with IVF. Normally, it's about 1 to 2% of pregnancies. But with IVF, that risk more than doubles. We're talking 2 to 5%.
Wow. Okay. Double the risk. Why? What is it about IVF that increases that specific danger?
Well, a common reason highlighted in the material is related to the transfer process itself. The thin tube, the catheter, used to place the embryo inside the uterus. Sometimes, just inserting it can trigger tiny spasms in the uterine muscle. And these little contractions, these spasms, might accidentally nudge the embryo out of the main uterine cavity and into a fallopian tube.
Ah, okay. So these spasms are kind of an unintended side effect of the procedure itself. So if that's the trigger, how does acupuncture step in, especially the session after the transfer?
Right, this is where the post-transfer acupuncture seems really key, according to the sources. It appears to help by reducing or even stopping those uterine spasms, sort of calms the uterus down. And by doing that, it helps keep the embryo right there in the main part of the uterus, the ideal spot for implantation. This directly lowers that risk of it ending up in the tube, significantly reducing the chance of an ectopic pregnancy. And it's important to remember, both sessions of the pre- and the post-transfer acupuncture happen on the very same day as the actual embryo transfer. It's all timed very strategically.
Okay, so you've got the blood flow improvement before and the spasm reduction after. Sounds incredibly targeted. Is there research actually backing this up, like studies showing this works?
Yes, definitely. The sources point to some important studies. They aren't just saying it works. They looked at the evidence. For example, there's a pretty well-known study from 2002 published in Fertility and Sterility. Paulus and his team, they found that women who had acupuncture just before and just after the transfer had, significantly higher pregnancy rates compared to those who didn't.
Okay, so that's a direct comparison.
Exactly. And then another study, this one from 2010 in Reproductive Biomedicine Online by Sterner Victorians Group, focused more on the how. It provided evidence that acupuncture really does improve uterine blood flow, which supports that whole preparing the soil idea we talked about.
Got it. So confirming the mechanism.
And there was another one mentioned briefly, Anderson et al., also in Fertility and Sterility from 2007, looking broadly at the impact on IVF outcomes. So yes, there's a growing body of research suggesting these benefits are real.
Okay, let's quickly sum up the two main takeaways here from this deep dive for everyone listening. First, acupuncture before transfer seems to really help by improving blood flow to the uterus, making that lining more receptive, basically prepping the ground. And second, the acupuncture after transfer tackles that specific risk of ectopic pregnancy by calming uterine spasms, keeping the embryo in the right place. That's a pretty big deal.
It really is. And zooming out, it kind of highlights how reproductive health is evolving, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're seeing more integration of different approaches, like combining this ancient practice with cutting-edge IVF to give you potentially better outcomes on your path.
Absolutely. And if this is something you're considering or you want to learn more, the sources mentioned reaching out to Mike Berkeley Center again. That's the Berkeley Center for Reproductive Wellness. You can apparently schedule those pre and post transfer sessions by calling them at 212-685-0985 or just check out their website, which is www.berkeleycenter.com.
And perhaps this leaves you with something interesting to think about. As our medical technology gets more and more advanced, isn't it fascinating how these much older, ancient practices sometimes find new relevance? How they keep offering these, maybe unexpected, ways to support well-being and even success in areas like fertility. Makes you wonder what else we might rediscover.